Hi there. Are you Taylor?
Yes, I am. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you. I'm Jeanette.
I am so excited for this class. I'm going to give people a few minutes to pop on, and I'm just checking in in our community, make sure no one is having issues.
No problems.
And then I will let you introduce yourself. Do you have slides to share? Should I make you a host?
Yes, please. I do have an entire presentation, but it'll also be hands-on,
Perfect. I'm
like
gonna
demo kind of deal.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not there was quite a few, there's 20 plus, I don't know exactly what RSVP to the event. So if they are slow on coming on, then all of the recording is going to be in the community as well. So it'll be such a great resource for our belly birth moms to go back to and reference as well. I'm sure you know Trish has an entire course focused on this, and we have a whole section in our community for this. And so it will be just such a great resource for people to go back and listen to you and learn from you.
That's awesome. Yes, I was aware of the fact that it'd be saved in the resource
Mhm,
section. So that's great.
mhm.
That's
It's
great.
so awesome.
You know what I'm going to do right now? It says Trish Ware on your screen, and I'm going to call you Trish by accident. I'm going to rename you.
Yeah, go for it. I'm actually going to, once you introduce yourself, I'm going to turn off my video and mute myself and hang out and listen, make sure everyone is in and doing well. And then I'll pop back on in the end and we can let people know where to find you and wrap things up.
Yeah, no problems. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to pop this in the chat just so you have it. Trish was mentioning that it'd be great for you to have this as well. I've emailed this to her and it's also in my workshop, but she was like, just make sure Taylor has this. I'm like, okay,
Awesome.
here it
Awesome.
is. Here it is. So I'll be
All
talking
right.
about this and what that page is all about in any case.
Awesome. So I will hand the floor over to you, introduce yourself, and I'm so excited to learn from you tonight.
Ooh, I'm excited. Taylor, are you a cesarean birth mom as well?
I am not. I'm the virtual doula community manager here on Trisha's team. And no, I'm not a cesarean mom, but I support cesarean moms all the time in my community and then here in Trisha's community as well. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. I know moms might be trickling in on their own time because it is the evening. I do appreciate everybody spending their most important resource here together tonight, which is your time. So thank you, Kira, for dropping in. Thank you, Esther and Kim and Rita. My name is Jeanette, and I am a perinatal athletic therapist. And tonight I have the wonderful opportunity to talk to all of you about cesarean birth recovery, specifically scar massage. So I'm going to get right into it because there's so much information I want to go through. It is a jam-packed 45-minute workshop. We will have time for Q&A at the end, but this is going to be recorded straight through as a resource. So we'll save the chatter for the end. But feel free to pop in your ideas into the chat because we can refer to that in the end. But before we do that, I hope you all can access the chat. Or if you're able to just, change the name on your Zoom screen, I'm curious to know how many weeks, months, or years post cesarean you are. So can you just quickly pop into the chat how many weeks, months, or years you are post cesarean? Because this is going to give me a little bit of an idea as to the crew here, but also as a therapist, it really helps me cater my information to everybody who is spending their time live together tonight. So just pop it into the chat. Jalen is 2 weeks today. Oh my, 8 days. Kira, oh my goodness. Congratulations. Okay, very early cesarean birth moms. Okay, you know what? I took some slides out of here. I thought everyone's going to be a little further along, but hey, Esther's 14 years. Next is planned for the 14th of December, like in a couple of days. This is so exciting. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Brooke, if you have a chance just to drop into the chat how many weeks or months post, Rita's 10 weeks. Okay, you know what? I didn't include it in my slides, but we are going to talk about stuff specific about what we can do for cesarean birth recovery in these early days. Okay. Rita's 10 weeks. Jalen's 2 weeks. What did Kira say? 8 days. Esther, 14 years. Brooke is just dropping in. So Brooke is 6 years post cesarean, hoping for a VBAC, prepping for cesarean if necessary. Brooke, you know what? That is just real talk. So congratulations for being prepared. And as long as we have all of the tools, we're ready, right? We're ready. And that decreases the overwhelm. Friends, so we have everybody in every stage of healing at this point. Okay, so I did cater today's talk to be a little bit more towards later healing, but you know what? I'm going to change it on the fly. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, I'm sharing a workshop screen right now. And Taylor, can you tell me if you could see this?
Yes, I can. It's perfect.
Okay, awesome. Okay, friends, if this is your first workshop with me, welcome. My name is Jeanette Yee, and I am a perinatal athletic therapist. I can talk for 9 hours straight, so it's going to be a real good challenge for me to talk for only 45 minutes, okay? But what I really want to share with you today is the concept of cesarean birth recovery. Recovery from, in my opinion, one of the biggest sports injuries that is also one of the most common sports injuries endured by human beings all across the world that generally has no recovery plan. So in my history of being an athletic therapist in orthopedics for the past 20 years, I'm like, listen, I've worked with so many athletes in my time, but none compare to the sport of pregnancy and the sports injury of childbirth. And today we're talking about cesareans. The title of today's workshop is, How Do I Massage My C-Section Scar? Improving pain, weakness, and appearance. So this isn't a quotation because I'm paraphrasing a very common question that I get on my social media or with the moms that I work with in my programs or one-on-one. How do I massage my C-section scar? We're going to talk about today why that's important, okay? So if this is the first time you're hearing about it, don't worry. I'm going to go through the whole thing. Now, before we start, the way I work when I work with cesarean birth moms is that I really want to acknowledge how important words are. So in my world, sports psychology and the psychology of healing is the first thing we address well before physical rehabilitation. Because what happens in the muscle between our ears dictates what happens to the muscles and the rest of our body. So you will hear from me words like C-birth or cesarean birth. I don't really use the term C-section unless I'm paraphrasing. And the reason is this: cesarean birth to me sounds empowering. It is an action that you have done. You are the hero of that story when you birthed your child. You did not have a C-section where you were a passive onlooker and the hero of that story was your surgeon. That is why I choose the term cesarean birth. You may want to try that on yourself, or that may be something that you may request your healthcare practitioners to use as well. The other term that I use is athlete. You'll never hear me use the term patient for the very reason that athlete is very empowering and is actually factual, because there is no ultra marathon like pregnancy. I actually have worked with very elite athletes in my time, ultra marathon runners as well. And nobody runs for 9 months. And nobody plays a sport that lasts that long with no halftime and no subs that ends in a mandatory sports injury, such as childbirth. So for any of you who thinks, oh, Jeanette's, a perinatal athletic therapist, I'm not an athlete, what she has to say is not for me, I don't identify. I want you to really rethink that. You are all athletes in my eyes, and I hope that you see that about yourself as well. So let's get started. Let's talk about cesarean birth. In my world, I share a lot of real photographs of real bodies because I believe that representation matters. So you're about to see 6 real bodies, post-cesarean, fresh incisions. So if you are a little queasy about stuff like that, I just encourage you to look away for now. But in this presentation, there will be a lot of real bodies and real photographs. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about recovery, this might have been you, and this might still be you. I know some of you are like very freshly after cesarean. How do we get from this 3 days post cesarean with a classical incision held together by staples? How do we get from this 8 days post cesarean stitches covered with steri strips? How do we get from this also 8 days postpartum subcutaneous stitches? This is on an elite runner who she says at that point didn't even recognize her body. Now, how do we get from this moment of injury and dysfunction and pain to this? Okay, these next bodies aren't the exact same athlete, okay, but I want you to see what can happen. How do we get to this? This is 8 months post cesarean following a cesarean recovery program. And this is a 3-time cesarean birth mom with a hypertrophic scar and an appendectomy, but her scar moves wonderfully and she has no pain. And this is one of my plus-sized athletes, and she's lifting her belly to show us that her scar has healed very well and is moving and is not causing her any dysfunction. So you may be identifying with a picture in the left-hand column, a feeling in that left-hand column, and you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't even see the possibilities of how I can get to a picture on that right-hand column, whatever that looks like or feels like or represents to you. So in today's workshop, I want to show you how we get from pain and dysfunction and uncertainty about the appearance of your body to confidence and strength again. So I like to run polls. So if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, that's my handle, by the way. I run little questionnaires all the time. I fancy myself a little bit of a researcher. So when I read about research that happens in the orthopedic space, I read it and then I go, I wonder if they asked 1,300 other cesarean birth moms this question, or if they had a very small sample size. So I took a recent poll. I did this twice, actually. This is a couple of weeks ago, and here are the results. So I asked everybody, I go, were you scared or angry or overwhelmed about your cesarean birth recovery? And 80% of people said yes. And I was like, oh, okay. Were you dissatisfied with your appearance at any point in time? 60% said yeah. And some of those responded, I still am, Jeanette. I asked, do any of you have pain for more than 3 months? 60% of moms said yes. And this is a very important part because as an athletic therapist by background, what happens with the human body, if you are in pain for more than 3 months, you end up moving a certain way, and that certain way becomes your new normal. And that certain way may actually be what perpetuates that pain. So that 3-month mark is very important for us therapists. We want to make sure that proper movement patterns are established well before that 3-month mark so that chronic pain is not a thing. We're going to talk about that today. I asked, do you struggle with painful sex? More than 60% of people said yes. And people, on the side DM'd me and said, what has that got to do with a cesarean birth? And I said, actually, a lot. Your cesarean birth can cause chronic painful sex. So we're going to talk about that as well today through scar massage. Then I asked, after your cesarean, did you experience any digestive issues or fertility issues or both? Because that's what the research is showing. And, 50% of respondents said, yeah, I'm either having one, the other, or both. I don't know about you, but these are not good odds. And here's the thing. This does not have to be anybody's new normal. because scar massage can help with all of these issues. It can actually prevent a lot of these issues. And for those mamas who are here right now, who are in the first few days or weeks of cesarean, I'm so glad you are here, because honestly, this is your opportunity to completely heal from this sports injury. Okay. Okay, here are some facts about a cesarean birth. About cesarean birth scar massage. Scar massage improves scar flexibility. Okay, this is why we want to do scar massage. So scar tissue heals tight, like it has to heal tight. That's what its job is, right? So massage ensures that it's not tight chronically. So it improves the scar flexibility. Now, scar massage also improves scar mobility, which means how well it moves in relation to the tissues around it. So is it sticky? Is it less sticky? Right. So in clinical talk, it's called adhesions, right? So if you ever, go on the Instagram and people are talking about, oh, fascial adhesions, now you know what that means. That means, is it stuck to stuff around? Okay. So scar massage improves both. It makes things less tight and makes things less sticky in layman's terms. Well, I'm going to show you how to do that today. So in the next 45 minutes, I'm sure I've already burned through 10. We're going to talk about scar tissue itself, because we hear all about scar tissue and it's like, oh, I really don't want scar tissue. It's going to cause me all this pain, but I want to describe it. It's actually a friend. Okay. It's not a foe. It's not a bad guy. So I want you to understand it a little more, because once you understand it, then this part 2, when we learn and progress a scar massage technique, is that you'll know where your scar massage is. It's very important. So you'll know where your scar tissue is. I'm sorry. Okay. And then lastly, I'll introduce the importance of cesarean birth specific exercise. Okay. We won't get in depth about exercise today, but we'll definitely talk about scar massage. So a little bit about me. My name is Jeanette Yee. I am a 2-time vaginal birth mom. I have not had any cesareans, but my vaginal births were deemed textbook births by my doctors. And, the reason why I work with cesarean birth moms is because those medically textbook births, I did not heal from, and it took me years. And there's nothing textbook about having undiagnosed postpartum depression the first time around, and having postpartum depression the second time around, and a thyroid issue that caused me to sleep 12 hours a night and have to nap 2 hours a day, missing basically my 5-year-old's, entire life, like her 5-year-old lifespan. I just wasn't there for. Those 2-time vaginal births were not textbook recoveries, because that did not take into play the fact that I had a son who was born with a physical disability, and his clubfoot had to be casted from his toes to his hips when he was an infant, and for 2 years he had to be in steel leg braces. There's nothing textbook about these things, moms. So when you are discharged by our public healthcare system here in Canada or in the United States, and you're told you're fine, I want you to know that I see you, and that there is something else that you can do, and that you deserve a full recovery. I'm also an athlete. So I played competitive rugby for 12 years, but honestly, pregnancy were the toughest darn sports I've ever played. I'd rather play an entire rugby tournament, let me tell you. And I'm not exactly the biggest girl on the field. Okay. So I get it. I get it. And I'm a perinatal therapist. So my background is in orthopedics, but again, the most hardcore athletes that I ever had a chance to work with were my pregnant moms. And the toughest athletes are those moms healing from vaginal birth and cesarean births. Let's talk about the cesarean surgery. The next photograph is graphic. If you choose to look away, you totally can. I'll tell you when the picture of the cesarean surgery is passed. Okay, so here we go. Here's a cesarean birth surgery. I am showing you this picture because this may be a familiar picture. You'd be like, oh, this is actually the birth of my son. Like I have this picture. This is what I show my friends, right? But for some of us, when we have an emergency cesarean, we may not ever have acknowledged or even seen that this happened to us. This very moment happened, the birth of your child. And what I really want you to see and bring attention to is this. Follow this little boy's umbilical cord from his belly button to inside of his mother. Do you see that open wound? For some of you, that was only 8 days ago. That was only a few weeks ago. And even if that was 14 years ago, can you just give a moment and acknowledge how badass your body is? That open wound is no longer, it is closed. And even for this mom who's on this call, who's 8 days post, look down at your body. It is closed. Can you believe how incredible the human body is? So I want to lead with this for you to understand how intense this abdominal surgery is, and it absolutely warrants, you deserve a full recovery process. And please do take the time to go through recovery. Okay, so I'm going to pause this right here. The picture is gone, so if you're looking away, please come back. And I'm going to ask everybody here, can you put into the chat, because I'm going to talk about the cesarean surgery in a moment here, how many cuts do you think are made by the surgeon on your body? So how many incisions are made in a cesarean birth surgery? Just throw it in the chat. If you know the answer, just throw it in the chat anyways. Is it 1 cut? Is it 2 cuts? Is it 3 cuts on your body? Like, I'm not asking how many layers, because there's like at least 7 layers, right? How many cuts are made on your body? Put it in the chat. Throw a guess in there. Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Jalen's like, is it 7? Jalen, it's 7 layers, but it's even more than that. So it's not quite 7. Not quite 7. No one else is going to hazard a guess. Jalen's like, 2 weeks postpartum, I'm guessing. We just like 8 cuts. Okay, 5. Friends, I'm going to show you. Because here's the answer. You had a surgery in your body that no one told you what happened. You deserve to know. Because once you know, then you know how to do your scar massage a little better. Okay. The answer is 3. There are 3 incisions made on your body with an emergency cesarean, planned cesarean, unplanned cesarean. Okay. So I'm going to pin myself here so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to draw on myself here. Pretend this is the surgeon's scalpel. Okay. So what usually happens, you know what, I'm going to unblur myself so you can see me. What usually happens is this. There is a horizontal incision made through your skin and your fat layer. That is pulled apart. There's some other stuff happening in there. We won't go into the specifics, but then there's a second incision, a vertical one, made right down your linea alba. And for those of you who have heard about a diastasis, that's where your diastasis is. So that has been cut. That has been cut open. Your diastasis is cut open. That is your muscular abdominal wall. So that is then pulled open. Organs and such are moved aside. And then your uterus is exposed. And then there is a third, usually horizontal incision made on your uterus through the entire thickness of your uterus. That is pulled open. You birth your baby. Then your uterus is stitched up just with 1 layer of stitches, even though your uterus is like super thick. This incision, friends, pay attention. This vertical incision is not stitched up. It's generally not stitched up. Okay, so your diastasis is not stitched up. Okay, and then this external incision is either stitched or stapled, glued, covered with steri strips, and it depended on your surgeon. Tell me in the chat, what are you thinking right now? What are you thinking right now? Put it in the chat. 3 incisions. There's a vertical one in there. Right, Leanna? whoa. Because listen, straight up, friends, as a therapist, I never had the opportunity to scrub in on a cesarean surgery, but I had no idea. I just thought there was one. Because we just see the one cut outside and we go, oh yeah, scar massage. Yeah. We got to massage that. Isn't that amazing? Jalen, yeah, exactly your face. Friends, this happened to your body. I know some of you are probably feeling like, I'm overwhelmed. This is not cool. I'm upset. And I want to acknowledge those feelings. And then I want you to move through those feelings, come out the other end, celebrate and say, okay, what's next? Because I'm going to heal from this. Right? Yes, Kira, it explains intense pain with laughter. Yeah, right? Your abs aren't connected. At one point, your abs are actually not connected. Yeah, that's why it hurts, right? Jalen's asking, why isn't the second one stitched up? Due to medical research, so surgical research shows that the outcome of healing is statistically insignificant, whether it's stitched or not. I don't know what kind of research they did. I don't know if they performed, functional tests, pain, mobility. I'm sure they didn't, because I'm sure the outcome tests would be very different if it was an orthopedic test. But surgically, the tissues heal apparently without any major difference. That's why. But you can ask your doctor to have it stitched together if you wish. Okay, they just don't, because they're told it makes no difference, so they just don't. All right, let's go back here. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, friends. I picked the wrong screen here. Here, let's go back. Let's share this one. Let's share this one. Oh, what's happening, friends? Sorry, 1 minute. 1 minute. Technical difficulties. 1 moment. Here we go. I see my presentation. I see it. Here we go. Okay. So scar tissue is like super glue. So take a look at that surgery. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, that happened to my body. Oh, what am I supposed to, like, I don't want to move. Like, I better not move. That thing's going to split right open. And I'm here to tell you it won't. Anybody had your scar held together with staples? Yeah. When did those staples come out? 4 days. Those staples came out in 4 days because it's closed after 4 days. Can you believe it? It's closed by your body's own incredible super glue. So scar tissue is like super glue, meaning it sticks those incisions shut and it's shut for good. Unless you have an infection or there's some kind of non-union situation, it's shut for good. Okay. Here's the other thing. Because it's super glue, it sticks to everything else. So it's like, well, scar tissue is like not really discriminatory here. It's just like, let's just shut her down. Let's just make sure Kira never opens up again, right? So in a way, it's like, thank God, that's amazing. But I need you to understand, because it sticks to everything else, I need you to know where those scars are. So remember that demonstration I just did. So when you are doing your scar massage, we're going to do that in a moment. You want to know where that is. You want to know what to search for. And that's why it hurts. That's why people are like, you know what? It hurts down the middle, like the midline of my abs. I don't know why. Now you know why. It was cut open. Okay, it was cut open. Here's one thing I need you to understand about scar massage. It doesn't change how much scar tissue is created, because your body creates your body will create a certain amount of scar tissue, right? Taylor's body is one way, Jeanette's body is another. It's just almost like hereditary. That's how we create scar tissue. But what scar massage can do is it changes how tight it is. It changes the pain. It decreases the pain. It improves the appearance. Friends, scar massage improves the appearance. It just does. It's a side effect of it. So please don't feel like you're being vain if you're like, I want my scar to look better. It will, it can, it does. Scar massage decreases adhesions, right? The stickiness to everything else. It improves strength, my friends. It improves fertility, it improves digestion, so much more. Okay. So when do we start C-birth scar massage? I'm glad I didn't take this slide out, because the answer is this. For my early cesarean birth moms right now, you want to make sure you're discharged by your medical doctor first. right? So that's about the 6-week postpartum mark. Why? Because you got to make sure there's no infection, and you got to make sure that it is a union closure, meaning sometimes we heal, but then there's like a gap. It's not necessarily the best thing, right? We want to make sure that it's closed right down, scars right through. Okay. So it doesn't mean you can't do indirect scar massage, because I'll be talking about that. Okay. Because now I know my audience. I know there's people here who are less than 6 weeks postpartum. But please just don't go and manipulate the tissues right away until your doctor says it's cool. Everybody else, you're probably discharged. Okay, so take a look at this incision here. So this is my mama. She's a couple of weeks post cesarean, and she's got this bruising here. She's like, oh my gosh, Jeanette, this bruising, this swelling. Look at my scar. It's lumpy. There's like a lip on top, lip on the bottom, smooth in some places, lip on up and bottom in some others. Is this what it's going to look like forever? And the answer is no, of course not. It's not at all. But here's what you want to know about. Oh, hang on, I want to show you a couple more pictures. This is 4 months post hysterectomy. This athlete came to see me when she was 3 months post, because she's like, I'm in so much pain. The doctor says I'm fine, but I'm not. I know you work with C-sections, but can you do something about my hysterectomy? Sure, absolutely. We had to go through a lot of scar massage. Now remember, she's got a classical incision. Anyone who has a vertical incision, it sticks a lot more, because that linea alba is also a vertical incision. So we had a lot of work there. This mom is, what was she? I think she was maybe 2-3 months post cesarean. She was angry because she's like, Jeanette, they stitched me up uneven. My linea nigra, that dark line down the middle, they don't even match up. Look, one half of my scar is flat, the other one is like lipped. What's going on with that? So we worked on some scar massage, and that corrected as well. Okay. So we're going to talk about safety first. Safety is super important. And these are principles that are going to apply to all the scar massages you will ever do. So if you're early cesarean, you're going to go through a lot of different types of techniques, but these safety principles will always apply. And for those of you who are years post and have never done scar massage, it's not too late. You can still do scar massage. You'll do more, in-depth, aggressive scar massage techniques. These safety principles I'm about to tell you are still going to apply. Okay, they're all listed here on my website, JeanetteYee.com/resources. So you don't have to, don't take notes, just listen, don't take notes. You can download this resource, okay? And the resource talks about these 3 safety principles. This is what we learn in massage therapy school, by the way. So I'm just like teaching y'all how to be a therapist right now. Okay. So you don't have to go to school. You just got to like learn this stuff. This is the highlights. When we do massage, we start far away from the scar, and over weeks and months, we get closer and closer to the scar until we're on top of the scar. Peripheral to central. When we start scar massage, we don't start really deep. We start superficial. Okay. So really skin level. And then as the days and weeks go by and the months go by, we get deeper and deeper and deeper. Deeper until where? Your uterus. You know how deep that is? That's inside. That's really deep. You got to dig. Okay. And the third safety concept is small to large range of motion. Okay. So when we're first starting, we're doing like little small, let's say circles, little small circles, right? But then as the days and the weeks and the months go by, those circles can get bigger and bigger and bigger. We also use pain as a guide. So when you're first starting, I use a pain scale, 0 to 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being like fresh out of your cesarean, no medication kind of pain. Okay. Anytime you start scar massage or a new technique, it's 0 out of 10 pain. It cannot cause you pain. As you progress throughout the months, and some of you are years postpartum, you actually want to feel discomfort when you're doing it. You need to get deeper. Okay, so I'm going to coach you through that in a moment. So today we're going to spend a good amount of time on a certain technique that I call the pull and hold. I'm not very creative with titles, so this is what I came up with because it describes exactly what you need to do. Okay, so when you're just starting, so for the mamas who are like a couple of weeks, days, weeks post cesarean, this is going to be your first technique when you're discharged by your doctor. this left side picture, this pull and hold, do you see, I should have put a picture here with my finger not on the scar itself. It should be, think of the 3 principles, far from the scar, so peripheral. It is superficial. Do you see how I'm like barely pushing into the skin? Okay. And then I'm going to show you in real life what I'm actually doing. Okay. And then as the months progress, that same technique progresses to real deep. You see in that right picture here, I'm using both hands and I'm scooping nice and deep into my organs. And if you're newly cesarean, you might be wincing, and that's right, because it's not appropriate for you at this time. Okay, that will damage and hurt you. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. Safety first, safety first. So let's start doing a bit of a demo here. Okay, so friends, please feel free to follow along with this. Feel free to follow along. And if you have questions, let's save it for the end. But I know you'll have questions because if you're not a therapist, it took me 20 years to learn this stuff, right? So if it's not right away, please don't feel badly if you don't get it right away. So when I'm gonna do this kneeling here to show you. But when you're doing your scar massage, I want you to do this lying down with your knees bent. If it's easier for you to lie on a bed, please do that because it's comfortable and it feels safe. Okay, if it's easier for you to sit in a chair, then please sit in a chair with your back really relaxed on a very large backrest. Why? Because you need your ab muscles to be completely relaxed. If they're contracted, it's harder to manipulate the tissue, right? So either lying down or sitting with your back supported. Okay. All right. So let's do this. So pull and hold. What does that mean? So I'm going to draw my scar again. I'm going to draw a little higher so everyone can see it. So pulling means you take the tissues. I'm going to use my whole hand. I'm going to take the tissues far, so peripheral from the scar, and I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull superficially. I'm just pulling the skin. I'm not even pushing into the skin. Does everybody see what happens to the scar way down here when I'm pulling the skin way up here? You see how that moves? You see that? So mom, if you are like, oh, I don't think I can touch my scar, it makes me queasy. I can't really look at my scar. That's cool. You don't need to do this massage. It'd be amazing to work through what keeps you from looking at and touching your scar. But please know that you can still do scar massage without touching your scar. So I pull until I feel still 0 out of 10, right? 0 out of 10 on the pain scale until I feel kind of like, or I see like, oh, it's moving. And then I hold it. I hold the pull. And I take 5 big belly breaths. If you're trying this with me now, try this nice and slow, nice and slow. Big, slow breaths. I go 4 seconds in and then 4 seconds inhale or exhale. Notice I'm not letting go of that pull, right? My pull is still on. So as you take your 5 big belly breaths, you want to always check for 2 things. You're always asking yourself the following 2 questions. 1, what is my pain? The answer is 0 out of 10. 2, what is my mobility? That's a little bit more of a therapy question. So if you can't get that right away, please don't be disheartened. Again, this has taken me 20 years to learn this technique. Mobility means this. If I take an area of my abs and I move the skin, okay, mobility means how well does that tissue move? How well does it move? Is it sticking? Is it moving? Can I make it go in circles, like full circles? Like how well is it moving? Compare the mobility in a non-surgical area of your abdominals to the surgical area of your abdominals. What is your mobility means comparing yourself to yourself. So let's say I'm pulling and holding up here and I can pull it way up high. Maybe down here, I can pull it only a slight bit until I start getting a bit of pain. Or maybe I get no pain at all. So to the mom here who's, 16 years post cesarean, maybe you've never done this technique and you're like, okay, I can move this much. I go down here and it's like, oh my gosh, it doesn't move at all. So the answer is your mobility is not full. What is your pain? 0 out of 10. But what is your mobility? It's not full. Do you need to do this technique? The answer is yes. When you have full pain-free mobility, then you know you can progress to the next technique. Okay, if I'm moving a little fast, again, I understand this is second nature to a manual therapist. And if you're not a manual therapist, it's okay. It's okay. This is why coaching is so important and so effective. So let's say you've done this. Okay. That's it. 5 breaths. That's it. That's it for the day. And the reason why you don't do it a second time is this. You want to know what it feels like tomorrow. Because if you're doing this yourself without a therapist watching you, you got to be your own therapist. And you got to know that what you did was safe and appropriate. So if it doesn't hurt while you're doing it, and it doesn't hurt after you're done, and it doesn't hurt the day after, that means you probably put the appropriate amount of pressure on your massage. Good for you. Okay, that's good. That's good. What you're looking for, though, is an improvement in mobility and a decrease in pain as the days go by. So in my world, I coach moms to do a massage every single day. 5 minutes a day, she's doing rehab. Half of that 5 minutes, she's doing a massage. The other half, she's doing a movement or an exercise to then teach her body to keep that new massage range of motion. Okay. So some of you are like, Jeanette, this is too simple. I can pull this. I've got full range. I've got no pain. What's next? What's next? Well, do it in the middle. Have you tried it on your right side? Have you tried pulling sideways or in a 45-degree angle or pulling downwards? Have you tried pulling down from above your incision? Have you tried pulling up from below your incision? Have you tried it in 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 4 degrees? The point is this: you're in a business of looking for where you have restricted mobility and pain. Every body is different. See why we're learning principles? So you may be like, remember that picture where the mom I was working with, she got stitched and it was a little crooked. This was flat and this was lipped. She has to work on her left side a lot more than her right side. So she would spend a lot more time on her left, right? So she would do a lot of different techniques too. She wouldn't just do the pull and hold, but that's where we started. So as the days and weeks go by, remember the principles. We start superficial. We start peripheral. We get closer to central on the scar. As we start superficially, as the days and weeks and months go by, we can get deeper and deeper and deeper. We start with a very gentle, small pull, but as the days and weeks go by, that pull can be longer and longer and longer. So let's progress all of these things. So over the span of weeks and months, then after you've done a combination of those 3 movements, then we can get really deep. So now I can take the whole scar, pull it up. Or maybe I can take the whole scar, go really deep and pull it up. And that's what I call the scoop and hold. So if I go slightly side view, you'll see that my hand is going as deep as possible in my body. I'm reinforcing with the other hand and then scooping up. This is an advanced technique. This takes months to get here. And this is what you would do. You would do this technique exclusively lying on your back. So for some of you, this is an appropriate technique because you're like, oh, I can scoop and hold. I don't really feel very much. Oh, I feel like a stretch. Okay, well, it's a 2 out of 10 stretch. Maybe that's a 3 out of 10. And I want to encourage you this is scoop and hold. This is a fascial technique, meaning you are trying to actually get that skin burny, stretchy feeling, and you want to get in deep. So you really want to get a 4 out of 10. You want to feel this one. This one is the one that helps with painful sex, my friends. Why? Because when we have chronic adhesions in the front part of our bodies, it kind of cinches up the connective tissue. And connective tissue is just that. It's like the skin, right? So if the skin is pulled tight here, it's going to pull up on your pelvic floor, pulls everything up. And so if this is tight and then we try vaginal intercourse, well, the opening of the vagina is already pulled tight. So then if at least it open up and get loose to accommodate for penetration, it's not going to be comfortable. And it's not going to be like, oh, let me warm up a bit, it's going to feel better. It actually just doesn't. And if that's something you're experiencing, it's because there are adhesions up here in the front part of your body. Okay. So that scoop and hold technique, you scoop and you hold for as long as you can. It's not just 5 breaths. You scoop as long as your arms will let you. And for the most part, it's tiring. It might take like a minute and you'll be like, oh, my arms. So I always encourage this technique to be done by your partner. So instead of scooping yourself, they are standing next to you, they're facing you, and they're using their straight arm like this, and they're just leaning into your body. Straight arm just leaning into your body. You're lying on your back and they're standing next to you. And their intention is this, they're scooping this way towards your head. Some of you may be thinking, ooh, that sounds like it hurts. So you're still the guide when that scoop and hold technique is happening with your partner. You want to ensure that you're giving them feedback. It needs to be it's a 3 out of 10 right now. Oh, wait, switch your direction just slightly more towards my left shoulder. Okay, that's a 4, that's a 5. Wait, back up, right? Constant communication. You back it up, hold it at a 4 out of 10. Okay, and you just breathe. You breathe. So when I treat my athletes in person, so when I'm doing this technique, I can hold this for 15, 20 minutes. It's a long, long, long technique. But when done correctly, when I feel where there's immobility and I'm working that mobility and I get it to change, I can do 1 session, maybe 2 treatments, and painful sex will either be much decreased or completely eliminated if that is the cause of the painful sex. That's how effective that scoop and hold technique can be. Okay, combined with exercise, of course. It's not just that alone. Okay. I'm gonna scoot right along so I make sure I've saved some time for questions at the end. But if you have a question, just put in the chat for now so we don't miss it. Okay, because I know I'm moving really fast. But these are the techniques that you can take from the moment you have your cesarean. By the way, for my brand new mamas, you're not going to be doing this with your hands on an incision that's 6 months or not even 6 weeks old. So how do we make sure that doesn't get stuck down? Try this instead. Lift your arms. Lift your arms up and down, right? That's not going to hurt your scar. As a matter of fact, your scar is going to say, thank you. I didn't know I had to be that loose. Oh, you wanted to lift your arms, Kira? Oh, cool. Okay, says your body. Okay, I'll heal a little looser then. That's cool. That's cool. So that's gonna be impactful right away. Okay, arms out to the side, right? Arms out to the side, standing up straight. What else can we do in the early weeks? Jalen's 2 weeks postpartum right now. Take big belly breaths. That whole incisional area is going to move with belly breaths. You are not going to disturb its healing. You are going to improve its healing because it needs to move. Movement gets rid of that swelling and decreases that pain. Movement within reason, that is, of course. Okay. All right. So that is the pull and hold technique, progressed literally from the day you have your cesarean all the way to years. There are other techniques too, but this is highly, highly impactful. Now, I want to drive this message home for those of you who are under the 6-month postpartum window. There is an optimal self-massage window of opportunity. Highlight self-massage. If you're doing your own massage, the best time to do it is in the first 6 months because you can, even with amateur hands, make an incredibly massive permanent improvement in your scar, pain, appearance, strength. Period. Full stop. Do not even think twice. Oh, should I? Shouldn't I? Yes, do it. Do it. Follow a plan. Do it. You owe it to your body. This is something, if you're having pain and dysfunction, you're not happy with the way that your incision looks, you understand that is temporary. All you need to do is just start your scar massage. Now, if you're after the 6-month window, please don't hear that you can't make a change. Of course you can make a change. Scar tissue is living and breathing, so it can always change. It just at that 6-month mark, give or take, exponentially you can change it, and then it really starts to taper off. Okay. You can still make changes in your discomfort and your strength, but maybe less so in the appearance. But then that's when professional massage can be beneficial, and also the use of different types of tools, such as cupping or the dolphin neural stim, etc. But please, please, please take advantage of this window if you are in the first 6 months postpartum, okay? Now, here are special considerations about scar massage. If you're pregnant, I know some of you are on this call. If you're pregnant, you may be like, I feel that there's tension in those scars now that I know where they are. Is pregnancy scar massage safe? The answer is yes, and you want to see a therapist in person for that. Okay, this is not a time to be DIYing it, like don't do it yourself. You want to have a full assessment to ensure that the pain or discomfort that you're feeling is actually scar related and not something else specific to your pregnancy. Okay, because there's other musculoskeletal stuff that can be happening during the pregnancy. So please see a therapist in person. Another thing, infection. Friends, you may have had an infection for like weeks past your 6-week mark. I beg you, please be just as patient as possible. Let that heal properly. Don't worry about you have 6 months from the moment that scar is closed to massage it and to make changes. So please don't feel like you're missing out. It is your responsibility. Please focus on making sure that infection is taken care of. And then also an open wound. Okay. So if there's a non-union, please go see your physician. Be like, hey, what can we do about this? We need to make sure that it's unionized. Another special consideration is a vertical incision. As I mentioned before, that does tether a lot more to the second linea alba scar. It is a special consideration with special focuses and other techniques. So you definitely want to connect with a perinatal therapist like myself to ensure you're doing the right techniques and that you are doing those techniques correctly. Scar massage is more effective with movement, my friends. So this last point I want to just highlight before we're done this workshop is that scar massage is 1/2 of the full equation. So when I work with athletes, I go, you know what? You're going to have an incredible recovery only if you can promise yourself one thing. And they go, what is it? I go, can you promise that you do 5 minutes of rehabilitation a day? Can you do that? Can you set aside 5 minutes a day? For the most part, they're like, only 5 minutes? You're telling me I can make a change in my scar appearance, my pain, and my strength, like permanent changes with just 5 minutes a day? And I go, yeah. And she's like, yeah. Okay, so in that 5-minute routine, half of it is a scar massage that I just showed you. The other half is one of these 4 types of movements. Because friends, you got to do passive care, but then active care. Active care means your muscles have to move your body. Your muscles have to move your body for your body to know that that's how you want the body to move. Otherwise, you do a massage, you go, oh, that was nice. And it just gets tightened up again. Okay. So if you were to work in one of my programs, we talk about exercises that open up the front body. Like this picture, I'm doing a cobra here. Exercises that strengthen the back of your body. Exercises that strengthen the front of your body in neutral position. Neutral meaning like non-pregnant neutral spine. By the way, if you never learned what a non-pregnant neutral spine was since you gave birth, you're probably still holding a pregnancy neutral spine, which doesn't serve you right now because you're not pregnant anymore. Okay. And some of us, even years later, never learn what a non-pregnant neutral spine really should be. And the 4th category of exercises are exercises that strengthen the front body in bending and twisting. And for a lot of us, after cesarean, because it's a scary time, we're in so much pain, we actually never retrain sitting up again properly, or are having confidence in twisting, or learning to do a plank again. Okay, these are things in my world all my athletes need to do. Okay, because that's regular daily activities. All right. So just driving this home, I want you to ask yourself after today's workshop, what's your daily 5-minute routine? Okay. And don't forget that 5-minute routine is made up of one scar massage and one movement. And if you have more than 5 minutes, that's great. Then we do more movements. We don't need to do more scar massage because movement is medicine. And that's for another workshop. So one of the big things I always say is the human body was made to adapt. It's never too late, my friends. So when you are 4 days post cesarean with staples, a couple of weeks with stitches, or you have a body that you don't recognize, know that, like this athlete at 8 months post cesarean, she ran her first 5-kilometer race. I met her son at the end. Know that you could still break world records like Allison Felix did and still does. And know you could go back to your daily activities, your passions, your hobbies, in this case, your work as a cellist, as a professional cellist with no pain, full strength, and all of the confidence in your body. So this may be the first time we're connecting, but this won't be the last. Please connect with me on Instagram or TikTok. Ask Jeanette is my handle. I'm incredibly active on Instagram because that is a very great platform for engaging. Please join me over there. I post a question sticker there every Sunday night. So if you have questions and you're not working with me in one of my programs, that's totally cool. We'll get to your questions there. And this is the website, www.jeanetteyee.com/resources, where you will find that resource about the 3 safety principles, but many, many other free resources as well for cesarean birth, diastasis recovery, etc.
Thank you so much. That was so incredible. And I do see a few questions in the comment if you have a few minutes just to answer those few that are sitting there in the chat box.
Absolutely. Do we have time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you folks okay? I know, you know what,
It's just
Taylor,
frustrated.
I was so proud of myself. I did this under 90 minutes. I practice this talk.
No, I'm so proud of you as well. Also, you mentioned you're Canadian. Did you say that?
I'm Canadian. I'm in Toronto.
Okay, I'm just east of Toronto.
Get out. Where are you?
I'm like east of Oshawa.
East
Where
of the
that is?
Schwa.
East of the Oshawa. So I'm actually like east of Newcastle. If you go like Bowmanville, Newcastle, I'm the next town over. So
We're practically neighbors, Taylor.
I know, I love that.
Practically
I
neighbors.
don't see a lot of Canadians when I work with Trish. So you slipped that in. I was like, I gotta ask where she's from.
We're all neighbors. We're all North American neighbors.
Yeah, I'm gonna connect with you on Instagram because I definitely have clients for sure in the area that could benefit from you. So we'll connect.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I'm just popping into here, my website and my Instagram, but let me answer some questions. Friends, I'm happy to stay for another 10 minutes. I don't know what your time is, Taylor. I'm sure you got to
Yep,
shut her down.
I'm sure when you can get through these, then we'll shut it down.
Sure thing. So Leanna, at 8 weeks post, I painted my scar when I leaned back in the shower to wash and rinse my hair. I hope this massage helps. Yes, for sure. Start gentle pull and hold, but follow it with, do you know leaning backwards in the shower is actually an exercise? So Leanna, what I would do first is this. Instead of just letting your belly relax when you lean back, engage your core. So do this. You're going to zip up your deep abdominal muscles. Okay, so that's your transverse abdominis. Did you see that happen? So I started with a very loose, relaxed abdominals, and then I zipped it up. Leanna, after a cesarean, this part of your abdominals where the scars are is going to be much tougher to zip up. So Leanna, in the shower, put your hand on your scar, on your incisional area, draw that into the best of your ability, and then lean back gently and wash your hair. And it'll hurt a lot less. Actually, try that right now. Hurts a lot less. So you need that strength to support. Part of it is tightness in the scar, but the pain is also because you're overloading the superficial musculature without engaging the deep. Okay, let me know if that helps. Send me a DM on Instagram and let me know if that helps. Okay, Leanna? Brooke is asking 6 years post cesarean birth. I'm now 32 weeks pregnant, and I'm assuming it'll be hard to tell mobility on my SCAR RN. Would massaging it still be helpful in the next 8 weeks before a VBAC? I want to do anything to avoid complications with my SCAR during birth. Haven't had other issues to note with my SCAR. I forget it's here. So Brooke, the answer is no. If you don't have any signs or symptoms, and the biggest signs or symptoms are pain and lack of mobility, you will know if you have lack of mobility because it would have been hurting while it's stretching during your pregnancy. And you won't even know if you have a lot of scar tissue until if you have a second cesarean, they open you up and then they may note you do or don't have adhesions inside internally, Brooke. So if you had a cesarean the second time around, prepare your medical team, say, like, I'm curious to know, like, tell me about my scar tissue to find inside. Okay, because I'm curious to know. And can you clean it up? Because they can. All right. So I hope that helps. I know you don't need to be like massaging stuff if that doesn't help. Brooke, you're fabulous, girl. Keep in touch though, okay? Because I want to know what this pregnancy feels like. You may have more questions, so definitely send me a DM on Instagram. Okay. And Rita, who's 10 weeks, yellow liquid coming out of SCAR with some pain. Should I be worried, or will it heal after some time with some of these movements? So Rita, if you haven't seen a healthcare professional, so preferably a medical doctor for this, let's make sure that yellow liquid isn't in fact an infection. Okay, anytime we have a colored liquid, we want to make sure it's not an infection. So number one, first thing you do tomorrow, what's today, Tuesday? First thing Wednesday morning, call your doctor. I'm coming in. I need you to check something out. Okay, so let's rule out infection. If it is, treat that first. Don't move it around. Remember, we always want to rule out infection and rule out any suboptimal non-union openings, right? So if there's a little gap there where the yellow liquid is coming out of, we want to make sure it closes. So make sure of that first, okay, Rita? And let me know how that goes. Okay, Leona, already following you on Instagram. Amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. And I'm really excited to get this into our community. I know you've said your information, it's in the chat, but we'll also link it in the description there. So anyone watching back is going to have full access to your links and everything, very user friendly. So anyone of the mamas on here that maybe want to check back on that, it should be in the community within a day or so, and then they can go ahead and click right on the links there as well.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Taylor, thanks so much for having me. And moms, thanks so much for taking precious time out of your busy days to hang out with me on a Tuesday evening.
You have a great night.
Take care, everybody.